Hello again, welcome back to the railway. Like I said, we've got the Flying Scotsman train set to look at today, and another version of the Flying Scotsman from the 90s. This is the probably the 2009-2010 train set. It's got the sort of plastic track mat instead of the papery one, and it's the railroad version of the A3. Well, it's the A1 actually. This is for all of them, and as you can see, it's got a flywheel. I think it's a 3-pole motor, but the flywheel does make it quite smooth. Just got your oiling points there, basic stuff. I've got nothing here with the actual date on, but that's they used to put in a chart with like all the catalogue items in it, but not on this one. So in the catalogue, this is the 2009 catalogue, and there it is there, the Flying Scotsman train set, although this one is slightly different from mine. Mine has that track mat with 1 point for a siding, and the one in the catalogue here has got 2 points, so it's like an added track pack there, isn't it? And the train's facing the other way on that one, and it's got the old style little controller there, whereas this one, it's got the slightly more modern one. They're both fairly useless, but they come sort of free of charge, really. I've looked in the next catalogue I've got after this one is 2015, and they changed it to 2 coaches instead of 3. So this is the nearest sort of approximation I've got to my one. Anyway, we'll have a look at the other Flying Scotsman in the catalogue from 1993. It's got a rather nice painting on the front. And this was to mark the 70th birthday. So they've done a whole thing with Flying Scotsmans this year, including a limited edition one with the 2 tenders. So if we turn to the page where they all are, this is quite interesting. So that's the original Flying, well, not quite the original one, because the original one was made for the Great Northern loading gauge, and it had a taller chimney and cab. But this is from 1924, when the Great Northern and the North Eastern and whatever were amalgamated into the LNER. So it had to have a cut down cab and chimney to work over the North Eastern section. So they've got that right, and you've got the tender with the coal rails there on that one. Next one they've got is from 1928 to 36. So that is still an A1 there, and although they may have altered the valve gear on the real thing to make it long travel. And then the next one in sequence would be the 1966 to 73, I suppose. They don't fill in Oh no, that's the preserved one. The next one after that they've got in here anyway is the one I'm going to show you today, which is the 1961 to 63 version, which is the last version on British Railways as it was, and this has got the smoke deflectors and the A3 boiler, and it's got a non-corridor tender, so we'll have a look at those right now. There we are. Here's the Flying Scotsman out of the train set. It's got the corridor tender for continuous running up to Edinburgh, non-stop from London. It's modelled with the vents slightly open. They're not posable, they're just modelled slightly open there. And as you can see, it's I did add that, I made that vacuum pipe myself. The original one just broke in my hands as I was putting it on, so that's one of my guitar strings. And yeah, it's not a bad model. Nice and neat livery application. Doesn't have the drop shadow on the number or the lettering, but it is the railroad sort of version, isn't it? I mean, it's all good. I mean, that's fairly good lettering on there. The valve gear is the quite delicate modern valve gear made in China, so you've got to be careful of that. Yeah, so she's quite a nice tidy model, and yeah, there is a seam on top of the boiler, but you don't notice it too much. It's fairly good. So let's have a look at that in action. It's a nice, smooth, quiet runner. Pretty good. The coaches are quite nice. They're not the super detailed ones that you get these days for about 60 or 70 quid each, but they cost next to nothing, which is good. And they give a fairly close couple there between them. Let's follow that round. Sit here by the crossing keeper's hut. See if we can see her coming round the corner. Not quite focusing there, are we? Let's try that again, see if it focuses. Here she comes. Focus. Right. As you can see, it's a fairly dull day out there, although that does look quite bright. It is grey, I'm telling you. There we go, that's quite a nice view. So we'll park that one in the station and get out the 1960s version. One more pass of this one, I think. And here we are. Here's the 1960s version. It's got the A3 boiler with the addition of the banjo dome instead of the bowler hat one, and it's got the double chimney with the blast pipes and everything to make it more economical. Because that gave a softer exhaust, they put the smoke deflectors on to divert the smoke upwards. You can see it's got the superheater patches on the side of the smoke box there on each side to cover that up, because it's slightly out of gauge with the boiler, whereas the A1 version doesn't have those. There you go. And this is the made in Margate version, so these boiler bands were done by hand by one of the ladies there. Let's move this signal box out of the way slightly. And then the side lettering is done with transfers, I assume, or printing. And yeah, that's fairly good, I would say, for 1993. Later on at the end of the 90s, they started switching production to China. Prefer the valve gear on this because it's a bit more bit chunkier, and this is actually tender drive, and it's this one is the non-corridor tender. You can see the A1 there with the corridor. You can see there the little window and the corridor connection with that sort of trunking where you would walk through there. And this one is just a plain normal tender. So we'll get that one going then, shall we? We've got two maroon Mark 1s and a blood and custard Mark 1. So let's get that going. Let's see if we can get a smooth start. There she comes. Oh, there is another slight difference on this one, which I'll show you in a second. All these A3s with the double blast pipe and the smoke deflectors have this arrangement on the front of the smoke box door with two separate handrails instead of one going across, and a lower lamp iron which is just above the handrails. So they've modelled that correctly as well, so well done. And you wouldn't know this was tender drive, would you? Pretty smooth, not quite as smooth as today's top models, but for then, you know, in the 90s, well, came in the mid-70s, didn't it, the tender drives, and they were a lot smoother than the X04 motor as far as controllability is concerned. So let's give her a bit more juice. Wait for it to come round again, we'll get a nice shot of her going past. here, through the station, overhead. Coming through that way. And along here. So there we are, a tale of two Scotsmen. And maybe one day I'll get the 1968 version with the XO4 motor in it. But till then, I think these two will do, won't they? Nice engines. Both good runners as well. So that's about it for today, and there'll be a nice train set in the next one that I personally have been waiting for 2 or 3 years. I wanted it, so I'll look forward to that anyway. So I'll say goodbye and see you next time.